Hey y'all!
Welcome back. Episode 3?
Yeah.
Yes. We have a very special guest.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's the one and only Frankie.
Woo!
My personal mommy guy.
Yes, all of our personal fairy godmommy. Literally. Yes.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the love.
Yeah. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes. So side note, Frankie was supposed to be on the show all the time.
Yeah.
But she's gonna pop in and out, which I'm super excited about.
Right.
But today, what are we talking about today?
Talking about postpartum. We really wanted to get another perspective, which is why we bought Frankie on. So we wanted to get another perspective on postpartum with 2 kids, the difference.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, my postpartum journey with Paloma was very difficult. And I still feel like it's difficult, like everything is a thing for me still. And I feel like when I saw you with Claire, like, yes, that was true, but with Jackson, it does feel different.
Yeah, I think it is different. I feel like
How was postpartum with Claire?
postpartum with Claire was, we were in the pandemic, so we were locked inside. And I think so much of my postpartum with Claire was focused on my relationship, was focused on not even my relationship with Claire, but was focused on like Claire and her everyday needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost so much of myself in being Claire's mom. And then on top of that, I then was constantly focused on my partner and how he was adjusting to parenthood and fatherhood. And so I really just don't recall factoring myself in and how I was feeling at any stage of postpartum with Claire. Like, I honestly felt a little bit like a ghost.
Yeah.
I think I equated at one moment to myself as like a doormat. To everyone. Like, in every setting, I was just being used and not actually existing. Because I was just so focused on like Claire and like the day-to-day with her, and then me and my partner, and then there was COVID, and then everyone else's expectations of you as a mother and how they think you should be operating as a mother. And so I didn't know who I was. And then right after I had Claire, well, not right after, about a year and a half after me and my husband went through a separation, and I remember someone asking me like, oh, what do you like to do for fun? And I was just like, what kind of question is that? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I was so triggered because I was like, nothing. I do nothing. Like, there's nothing that I do for fun.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you used to love to bake. And I was like, but then I have to clean.
Right. No, literally.
And then I even thought to myself, after I would cook or bake something, I didn't even want the food.
Right.
I wasn't even hungry for the food. I was just like, ew, this is unappetizing.
Literally how I feel.
Yeah. So I remember just like fun to me that didn't exist. And I mean, in some ways it still doesn't. Fun is just different than what it used to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like I can't even really enjoy fun in postpartum. One, I feel like that first year of just becoming a mom is just like so critical, and like everything, like you said, relationship, like motherhood, all that stuff. And so like and then we're so much of postpartum that first year is how to get back into your life that you had. And so it's like, I don't have time to focus on something. Like, I'm trying to get my body back so I can start dancing. I need to find a job so I can do that. It's like so much of like not being pregnant anymore, and like now going back to being a functioning human.
Yeah, which I really would love to actually just like, because people talk about like even getting back to yourself, getting back into the swing of things with work. And it's just like, actually, like, I will never be back to who I was before children.
Hard pills.
Work is different, body's different.
I think that's what was really hard for me. After what you spoke about is like, right after I gave birth with Paloma, I just felt an overwhelming sense of like unhappiness.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was mourning who I was, because I knew like I would never be that person again. And I felt bad about this feeling. Like, I felt like a horrible mom for even feeling this. And you were like the only person that made me feel the only person I said this to was Frankie. The only person I felt comfortable expressing this feeling to was you. You know what I mean? But I feel like for a lot of moms right after the first child, I feel like that is what the feeling they feel, but it's shamed to express that.
Yeah, it's like you're not. This is the happiest moment of your life. Like you have a baby,
you love
everybody
to
can be a mom. Exactly, you know. And so it's like I can't. And I was safe. I made it out alive. Like my baby's healthy. Like I have no reason to be unhappy, or you have all the support. And I'm like, that does not matter. Like support cannot fix the brain. And at the end of the day, like we've been talking about a lot, it's just like when you're a mom, you are a mom. Like nobody can help you with being the mom that you can be. They can relieve you of certain things, but just like that mental space of taking that responsibility, like it's daunting.
No, for sure. And like, you know, even like with the village, right? I saw this recently, people talking about like how we need to think about the village differently. You know, it's because like, you know, in my understanding of a village, the idea of the village is so interesting to me because like, in my thought process of the village, I never saw, but I think the idea of the village, like when I thought about the village as a family and like a village being part of what I did.
I just needed a snack.
Paloma, be fracking for real.
Okay. Yeah, when I was pregnant, I thought about this idea of a village with motherhood and people being a village for my child. I didn't also factor in the guilt aspect. And in my mind, a village didn't come with guilt of, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, it's not the guilt of me not being the one with my child, it's the guilt of having other people be with my child. I mean, and the thing is like, me and Sam do it with each other. Like I tell her all the time, Mimi's always welcome with me. She's like, are you sure, are you okay? And you know, and I do the same thing when I drop my kids off with her. Even though I do see Paloma as like a daughter to me, you know what I mean? And I know she feels that way about Claire and Jackson, but there's still that guilt that someone else is taking care of your kids. Not for your kids' sake, they're fine. For the other adults' sake, you feel bad. And so, you know, the village is an interesting concept, but when I think about people who do have those village settings, I don't think they have the guilt aspect, which is what I think we do have.
I feel like, I don't know how, let me say, I don't know how real the village is when there's not like intimacy in America typically. And I just feel like with our culture, because life is so individualized, having somebody else's kid can really put you at a disadvantage for whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't do this, now I can't move like this. And so it could be seen as like doing somebody a favor. And I always felt like the village should just be like, I always felt like the village would just be this concept that like you wouldn't have to ask for. Like for like nobody has really come to me and been like, take a break. I'll watch your kid for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like you need a break. Like it doesn't happen like that. It happens more so like I have to work, or I want to go take a dance class, or I do want to just go to a dinner, you know, or go to a dance show or something like that, you know, and then it's like, oh yeah, sure, we can watch him, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like this just pouring out of, and I feel like we honestly need more spaces like that, especially during postpartum. Where that it's kind of guilt free. It's like we want to do this for you, we're providing this for you, and we want to be here.
I mean, if we're being honest, I'm primary parent, so even asking my husband, their dad, to watch my kids is a favor.
Yeah, I ask all the time, and he gets so mad. He's like, "I'm the dad. Why are you asking?" But I'm like, I have to ask. Yeah, it can feel like I feel bad for that sometimes too, even when I know he's at home. But like if he's been with Soul all day, like last week I was at like a dance intensive and he had Soul all day, and I felt terrible. And like you know, and it's like, that's literally Soul's dad. Like.
I mean, I think it's also, you know, you have to factor in your relationship dynamic though too, because, you know, if we're being honest, why are you kicking your aunt? If we're being honest, you know, my husband could say in one breath, oh, I'm their dad, like of course I can watch them. And then in the next breath, like
complain.
Right.
But that's my thing. The next, it's like no, and the whole, this is the thing with the whole village thing. It's like no one understands. Mentally, there's never going to be a break for me.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Never.
First of all, the villages these days aren't villaging. Let's just start there.
I'm gonna be for real.
I'm not gonna point out any days, but the villages these days don't village the way they used to.
They don't.
And
they don't. Look, very grateful for the help that I get when I get it, but
it's different.
Yeah, it is different.
And I feel like it's different in other cultures too.
Yeah.
Like people. In other cultures, they really are like, oh yeah, it takes a village to raise a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My village is what I pay for daycare.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the husbands or to the partners, it's just like, why even ask? Why even do the work to ask? I understand that, like, because Richard does this too. Like, well, I'm the dad. Why do you even ask?
Right.
Why do you even ask?
Yeah.
But then, in the next breath, will be like, oh, she's been crying. Take her. Oh, okay, like shit.
Or dang, you're gonna be gone all day.
Yes. I'm tired. Can I just rest? I'm tired from giving birth. I'm so tired from the third trimester. Can I rest? No.
And that's been that thing, and I hate it. I really do. But the only thing that gets me through is just the fact that, like, it's not equal. It's just not an equal exchange. You know what I'm saying? And I can't expect it to look like that, because if I do, I'll just be angry. You know what I'm saying?
Real. And I think that's what I also have been struggling with during postpartum.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Hey, y'all.
Yo, please.
Yeah.
That's also what I've been struggling with postpartum, was just how unfair everything is.
Yeah.
And I feel like, with Frankie's second trimester, she kind of like got this attitude, which I hope I will gather soon.
Second postpartum?
The second postpartum. Yeah, sorry, the second postpartum, which is like the attitude of like, it's unfair, but like, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Yeah.
Because now I'm just angry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you kind of, I think it's like that acceptance of just like, this is what it looks like. And no, it's not fair, but like, how did you get to that point?
I think I just like released my expectations of motherhood and released also everyone else's expectations of what it is, what motherhood looked like for me. It's like that Ina Garden, what is her name? Ina, Barefoot Contessa.
Yeah.
It's like that Barefoot Contessa like meme that's going around the internet, where it's like, this is the way I fucking do it. You can do it whatever fucking way you want to do it. Because like that's really what it is for me. It's like this is how I mother. This is how I wife. This is how I work. This is how I exist. I mean, all the way to this is how I make dinner.
Yeah. This is when I'm gonna make dinner. This is what I'm gonna prioritize.
And it really goes into like the whole people pleasing thing. I feel like I have after birth. I feel like I have to people please her daycare workers. I have to people please her.
Yeah. No,
she doesn't even know what's going on.
Yesterday, I was about to walk in the Carseat, and we had been swimming all day. We went to a water day, and then we went to the pool, and he didn't have a shirt on, and he was comfortable, and I was gonna put him in the little buggy and not have a shirt on, and all I could think about was, I don't want people to think about like him not having a shirt on, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's a constant, and I don't think people think about that when they think about mothers, and before they say certain things. There's a lack of sensitivity when we talk about parenthood, when we talk about motherhood, and specifically, like, I don't care if your child is doing this at this time. Like, I don't care. I don't care if he's not supposed to be doing that. If, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not helpful. And I think people don't take that into consideration. That is such a sensitive time period.
I mean, I haven't released it fully, but I definitely have released it. I'm done. I definitely haven't released it fully. I haven't released like that fully, but I definitely did have to release people's perception of me and how I was supposed to be as a mother. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I told someone recently, Dorothy, and because I gave her some advice, she was like, thank you for the advice. I said, my best advice is you're about to get a lot of advice. So take what you want, and if it works, apply. And if it doesn't work, let it go.
Yeah. Did y'all deal with any like health issues postpartum? Like, did your preeclampsia come back? Postpartum depression, PPD?
The only thing that came back was I have elevated blood pressure ever since due to the preeclampsia. So my blood pressure before would be like 110, and now it ranges like 120, 130.
Okay, that's still normal.
I don't really.
She doesn't survive.
I just, no, but
Wait,
I
you don't believe in like postpartum depression?
No, I definitely don't.
Okay,
I've had postpartum
okay.
depression
Yeah.
twice. But physically, health-wise, I just don't pay
Yeah.
attention, which is not great.
No, it's not. Yeah.
So maybe there are things that physically
That
I
happen,
do.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know what?
I just didn't notice.
I feel like my energy.
That's like good and bad.
Right.
What? To be disassociated?
Yes, it's like, where do you get to the point where it's like you're too in tune with your body?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm hyper anxious about it. Or
That's how I feel, but Frankie isn't.
Like, yeah, I don't. You know what it is? I had low iron after giving birth to Claire, and it got so bad. I was like eating ice and drinking coffee. That was like that. Like
That was the
honestly,
only thing
that's
she
honestly
was-
how I lost all the weight. Do not suggest.
Please.
So I was just eating ice and drinking a whole bunch of coffee, and it
How
got.
did you know that it was your iron? Were you like tired?
That's just that's a common
Okay.
indicator that you're low iron
Yeah.
is like wanting to constantly eat
Yeah.
ice, which is like the sort of pica
Yeah.
when you just eat things
Yeah.
that aren't edible.
Right.
But it got so bad that I was like eating like I would like spill water on purpose on the bottom of my freezer and let it freeze over because I wanted that specific consistency of ice. And I remember doing it one time and I shipped off the ice and I was going at it, eating, and I look at the ice and I had eaten the sticker from the bottom of the freezer.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the entire sticker. So yeah, I mean I guess that was a health concern for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, I definitely think that, postpartum, the journey from 1 to 2. I mean, I tell Sammy this all the time. Like when I was with Claire, I would go to the doctor's office, right? Or anywhere, the store, and I would have like 3 outfits, like 10 diapers,
No, literally.
milk, I would have all these things, medicine, anything you could ask for. And now with Jackson, I literally walk around with just him. Okay, like,
Right.
I walk around just him. I mean, I walked into the doctor's office just him and 1 diaper.
Yeah. No,
Just knowing we'd be good. And if we weren't good, we would figure it out.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference too, is like your brain, you just let things go. I mean, but I would say also like my kids now have different parents. I'm still a different parent with Claire than I am with Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
The way like for her, I know she likes her food a certain way, so I cut her food a certain way. Jackson, I just hand it to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think also just recognizing like you aren't the same person with each kid.
Yeah.
You're not the same person as you were before your kids, and embracing all those kind of phases.
Yeah. And something I thought was interesting too, we had a live recently with Miss Rose. Shout out to Miss Rose Dance Closet, thanks for having us. But she was talking about how like she asked us if we had postpartum or if we dealt with it, and she was like, I never dealt with that. And I was like, I thought it was so interesting because I feel like a lot of moms from like that generation up, they're always like what is this, like postpartum depression, like it's not a thing, but I think like one, life was just different, and I just feel like they didn't have the language or necessarily even felt like they had the space to like really say that that's what they were feeling. You know what I'm saying? I feel like now, like, we're in a space where it's like, we don't like this doesn't feel good, and we're really honest, we're hyper honest right now, and I feel like they didn't have that. Do y'all think that, like, that's true, or do you think that maybe new circumstances have, like, made us deal with postpartum depression, like, more in this generation than, like, the previous one?
No, they had it.
They had it.
Yeah, they had it. And my thing is also, like, in general, like, don't even get me started on generations and
We'll have a different
because like they or even when I use language like primary parent, and my mother's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, that means I am the one that does the thing, and I think just like letting go is so freeing. And honestly, having a second child,
I need to look.
Does give you that. I was so uptight with Claire. I was so pent up, uptight. I was so worried about I was so worried about not having a job. I was so worried about my relationship imploding. I was so worried about who she was going to be, her health, her this, how she was sleeping. And then when Jackson came around, I just stopped caring. And not in a bad way, like I don't care about my kids. I do. I'm extremely like invested, involved on top of the things. But I can't. There's not enough time to care anymore.
Yeah.
When you have a kid,
it takes up so much time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the worry is mind-boggling.
No, like
things that I worry about that I go to Frankie about. She's like, oh, like this happened to Jackson, this happened to Claire, and like they're fine.
Yeah.
It's like an intense release for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, to be honest, what I would do if I didn't have her to talk to. Like, the people who don't have someone.
No, I see. When I had a child, I understood every crazy news article I had read about some mom doing something crazy to their kids. Not that I condone it, but I could just see how something like this, and I don't think people understand that, could really take you to that point if you don't know how to let go, or if you don't have a village, or if you don't have somebody to vent to. Like, literally, if I was not with y'all when Soul just fell a couple of seconds ago, I probably have to be in a mental hospital by tonight, because mine would just be, I would not sleep. Like, I would just be rummaging my brain through, like, just every possible scenario. Guilt, like, you know.
And this is where I think it's so important. You know, honestly, this is where I think social media has been so
helpful,
great for me. It's good and bad, right? But what's great, because like you can overwhelm yourself with a whole bunch of information and things like that. But when you get to that peak point where you're curating the content you're seeing and the people you're following, that becomes your mental and emotional village, right? Yeah. You're talking to other people who, like, you know, I follow this girl who I went to high school with, who's a mom influencer. She has her own bamboo clothing line called 3 Coastal Babies. It's great. And Claire's wearing it right now. It's so cozy. And what's great about it is Claire has sensory needs, and it's so, she just loves wearing the shirt. And you know, this mom friend, she was just on her Instagram talking. She's like, and I was doing all this, and then so-and-so fell off the couch, and she said it so casually, right? And it just normalized it. And I pulled it out because my kids, you know, fall all the time. They're, you know, toddlers, and I'm not pressed anymore. But it just, the way she said it so freely as a mom influencer, it just, you feel seen. Yeah. Because kids fall. Yeah.
And it's not your fault.
No.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, I wasn't watching it.
But guess what? Even if it was your fault, right? People make mistakes.
Right.
And you will make them
humanizing this experience.
Yeah. It's not that it's not your fault. It's just that people make mistakes.
Right, you're human.
You will do it again. Soul will fall again. My children will fall again. You probably, you know, my mom loves to be like, oh, they need to not do this thing. Kids do dangerous things all the time, and they'll continue to. Yeah. And I did dangerous things. Yeah. And that will continue. It will go from falling to, you know, going out late, to hanging with the wrong people, whatever. To making bad financial, the things just change. Right. But people exist. Yeah. And you have to make room for being able to exist.
Yeah.
You know?
Imperfectly perfect.
I think about it all the time because my husband is very that's his vibe, is very, he's not even perfectionist. I don't even know what to call it, because he definitely ain't a perfectionist about himself.
We're just Aquarius.
But just, you know, his view, you know, it's just very it's very square. It's very, this is where this fits. It's very boxed in. Yeah. And
no room.
There are times where no room for error. And there have been so many times where I have judged myself and my motherhood based on his criteria. But then what I realized is this man ain't a mom. Yeah. This man ain't out here doing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Yeah. And if he were, he definitely wouldn't be doing it as good as I am.
See, that we will cover that in another episode.
Dads are on next. Right.
Or even
next week.
Wrap it up. Or even, you know, my mother, you know, she loves to, you know, come out and, you know, criticize me and Sam in her way. And I'm like, I'm thinking back to like, but girl, I remember when I
have trauma from you. Like we're all dealing.
You know, so I think the moral of the story is that, like, you know, postpartum is forever, because you are forever this new person, and you're going to grow in this. And,
you're forever postpartum.
Yes, forever. It's not, you know, and it'll ebb and flow, and you will change and grow, and you have to like embrace every aspect of your life in that moment. And just lean in. And like what I say all the time is, like, my therapist told me this when I was going through a separation: accept your reality.
Yeah.
And that has really followed me through. Accept your reality. And that's what that's my motto whenever I do anything. let me accept where I'm at in this moment.
Accept the
and own it. Oh my God.
Accept the attitude. Whatever.
Accept the arguments.
Right.
Accept the self-doubt, the self-guilt. And just lean in. I lean into all the good and the bad.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
You have to. I think one of the biggest things I felt in postpartum is feeling alone in every aspect. Just alone in every feeling, alone in every fault. When Paloma is something going on with her, I'm alone in that. No one else experiences it. I'm alone. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel this immense aloneness when Richard leaves, even though he may not be helping in that moment. I'm still alone.
I'm alone. Yeah.
I'm alone.
Yeah.
I think what has helped with Frankie being around me is knowing how not alone I am. That's where social media has come in and helped, knowing I'm not alone, I'm not the only one in this feeling or situation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it will be okay.
Well, especially because with the age we are, a lot of people aren't having kids. And so it does feel isolating when your friends aren't in the same place as you, or when you're. So I'm forever grateful to be going through motherhood with my sister. I mean, what a gift to be able to go through motherhood alongside her. And even in those alone moments, I think even accepting that, like, I am experiencing this by myself, and that is okay. Because even if someone tries to relate to me, you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
And I think about that with birth. I think about that with my journey with my kids, and and that's why honestly. So I'm the type of person I air my dirty laundry out in public.
Yeah.
I tell everyone my business, which in turn makes me tell everyone else's business, because that's just how I move.
Right.
And I tell people from jump, I'm like, don't tell me something you don't want to be told.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be like, I really don't want to be told, and I'll keep it going. But I'm very loose with information.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a family member tell me, my aunt, who I think very highly of, she said to me, don't wash your dirty laundry in public. And I'm like, no, because if I don't, how will I not be able to connect with people, right?
And how when I'm your experience, whenever I'm the most honest and the most vulnerable, I feel like that's what started this podcast. That's me opening up like to Sam and you and being like, y'all, I coming over your house and you being like, how is it? And I'm like, this shit sucks. You know what I'm saying? And feeling like I can't say that So's all of 2-3 months old. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know why we as like humans, especially in this generation, like, and I feel like it's really the other generation, because like even my grandmother, like, she puts on, love her to death, that's my girl, puts on a full face of makeup every day, like to go to the corner store, but she's like, that's what her mom did, you know what I'm saying? So it's like an idea of like this appearances just meaning so much in how people perceive you. And I think now we're in a place where like people aren't caring how we're perceived. We are more so worried about being honest and connection and
also just like, if you see me a certain way, I'm gonna put the onus back on you. That's a you thing. That don't got nothing to do with me.
It has everything to do with this.
Right. And so just like releasing myself from that too, right? Honestly, even how my kids see me. You mad at me right now? Cool. We must move on.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you, because you touched on something that I wanted to ask you about in postpartum, which is relating to your friend group. I have struggled with that so much.
Now I have a mom friend group.
I have a mom friend group, but I still struggle being myself, or what I feel like is myself now, and relating to my best friends who are my age, who I spend the most time with. Like, when Paloma after she was 1, I went out of the country with my 2 best friends for 6 days. And it was the first time I was out of the country, and I was very excited. But I had the worst time ever. And it wasn't their fault, right? It wasn't their fault. It was like, I just felt insanely sad. And I couldn't even pinpoint why. I couldn't even pinpoint it. I felt out. It was like an out-of-body experience for the whole 6 days. We went out. I was having an out-of-body experience. Like, I was having fun, but I wasn't.
You're not in your body. Postpartum is like not being in your body. I don't know what spiritually may happen when you give birth that kind of like disconnects you from like your body, but the disassociation.
An extreme disconnect. And there was a part of me that just felt, I'm going to be like, I had a bad time and it wasn't their fault, but it was a part of me that felt mad. And I couldn't explain it.
I mean, I think like, the whole disassociating, and I think, all this all of that. I think it's a survival mechanism that we naturally tap into when we become moms. You know, I recently had like something happen where a big family event was ruined, and a whole bunch of friends were like, "You're not processing. You're disassociating," and I'm like, "And so?"
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't stay there.
So what if I'm disassociating? I have to wake up every day and take my kids to school. You know, when me and my husband were separated, people were like, "You're not really present." Okay.
Are you gonna take care of them so that I don't have to?
You're just going through the motions. Okay.
The motions have to be gone through.
Right. And, you know, I just think that, you know, like you know, you will never, they will never be where you are until they get to that place. And even still, you will then be evolved into a different place in your life in motherhood, right? You won't be in that baby stage anymore. You know, you won't, you know, you're going to be in the kid stage or the teenager stage. And so I think accepting that, like, yes, you are still my friends and I love you, but your comments are gonna fall flat. The way we experience things are gonna be different.
Our priorities are different.
I had a friend tell me, he's like, "You're just not happy anymore," and I'm like, "Or you just don't have fun anymore," and I was like, "Fun looks different for me than it does for you."
Sometimes it's taking a bath.
Fun looks different.
Sometimes literally, like I never have taken my shower so like now it shows up. I don't even want to take a shower because it's become that thing.
It's just fun just looks different, and you know, just also accepting that, and you know, I think being able to verbalize and put people in their place, like actually. Those statements are unnecessary. You have no reference for what it is that I'm doing and how I'm living.
I think the bottom line is there needs, just how we have racism and we have, you know, gender conversations and things about that, about sensitivity. There needs to be a cultural shift in the sensitivity on how we approach mothers, how we talk about motherhood, and the people that are going through that. Because I even have like a people thing where like I don't like to cancel plans if I'm fucking exhausted because I'm like, oh, my friends are in town, you know what I'm saying, or I need to be doing this, and it's like I am dealing with a whole human other than myself every
I
freaking
experienced
day.
that so hard in postpartum where I was pushing myself to the limit.
To go out,
To go out. You were, Frankie literally told me, she was like, "I think you're trying to be something you're not."
Because she didn't even go out before.
I didn't go out before that, and now I'm like, no, let's do it.
I gotta go out. I'd rather just be at home.
You know what? You ain't my friend if you don't come over and drink wine with me on my kids' room, okay?
Just chill.
You're not really my friend if you don't want to see my kids.
And that's what friends who are, people who are friends to mothers need to understand that. You are not my friend if you don't see my kid.
Period.
You are not my friend if you don't attempt to put yourself in my shoes.
Or create a relationship with my kid.
Or like my thing is like, you're not going to be able to relate. So stop talking, stop trying to relate to me. You know what I mean?
Help me,
right? Help me.
It's interesting. It's crazy. I definitely think we need a part 2.
Yes,
I'll be back.
What were your postpartum things? What did you go through mentally, emotionally, physically during postpartum? Thank you so much for coming on, Frankie. Love you.
Love you.
Yes. Thanks to all the kids and our co-stars.
For real.
No, look, she's delirious. You sleepy? But yeah, we'll be back with part 2 on postpartum because there is so much to unpack.
This is a long journey.
It's so much to unpack. But thank y'all.
Thank you guys. Bye.